Hey guys, it's M, and today I just wanted to rant about something that has literally poisoned Dark Souls 3 for me really bad. I've already made a whole video saying Dark Souls 3 disappointed me. If you want to see that, go over there. I made a whole script and I thought it out really well, and it covers a lot of my thoughts about the game. But one big thing is the plot and the way that the plot was written. I understand all three Souls games were rushed and that led to certain aspects falling apart. Look at Lost Izalith, it was meant to be a swamp, it was not a swamp. Look at Demon Souls, they were meant to have another Arkstone, they don't have another Arkstone. And in Dark Souls 3, there was meant to be another main villain that was not the final boss that we got. When I didn't know the lore, it didn't bother me that bad. But once you learn the story of Dark Souls 3, it bothers me immensely. It bothers me so bad to the point that it's hard for me to just casually play Dark Souls 3 without thinking, you know what this could have been? So let's just get into it. Pontiff Sulyvahn, he was a great villain. They set this man up perfectly. He sends Vort to stop the undead from getting far. He sends Dancer to also stop the undead from reaching the princes. He leads to Gwendolyn getting eaten by Aldrich. He pulls a power play that to take over all of Irithyll. He mutates the people. He's an awful character, and there's no redeeming quality to him. A lot of characters in Dark Souls, they have deep motivations. Some people argue if Gwen's even a bad guy, right? Nashandra's literally a fragment of Dark, so it's not really arguable with her, but she's like a creature. Then you get to Pontiff, and he's just a guy who is an asshole. And I think it would have been so interesting if we started the story about a god who wanted to make his own time, his place for his people, and people can argue he's greedy and selfish and he did all of these horrible things just for himself. And then you end on a human, or well, I guess he's one of the tree people from the DLC, but you end on another life form trying to pull this power play to create another age just for themselves so they can be in control and dictate everything that happens. It would have been a perfect way to end the story, and they didn't do it. And I think the thing that makes it even more offensive is they left all of the breadcrumbs of him being the main villain in the plot still. He still kills Gwendolyn. He still gets Aldrich to eat the guy. He still does the power play by trapping Yorshka in that other tower. He still does all of the crazy acts that make him main villain material. And then they just kinda go, and we didn't do anything with it. And it's like, guys, you had a main theme. You had a boss theme ready for this character. You had a final area theme ready for this character. You have the Pus of Man that's set up for this final hypothetical area. You did nothing with it. And it drives me crazy. I think Soul of Cinder is cool. But you know what would have been cooler? Making your own thing. I understand people go, Dark Souls 3 just really wanted to be Dark Souls 1. I think the thing is, with them calling back to Dark Souls 1, it led to some cool things, like seeing how a lot of characters' tales ended, right? But in the case of the final main villain, it is cool. I think Soul of Cinder is cool. I love him in concept. I think he's great. Going through all of the characters, he's a combination, or really an amalgamation monster of all the characters that have touched the flame. That's cool. You know what would have been cooler? Making this awful villain whose hands are in literally everything, and then you fight him at the end. You go from this story about you trying to stop this crazed god guy who's trying to keep his age going forever, to stopping this other guy who wants to take it over and basically manufacture his own age where he can control everything. That would have been awesome. But no, we get Soul of Cinder. I think Gale's cool, and you know what's unfortunate? A lot of people think Gale's cool. And in the lore, people think he's cool too. And he's an original character. Imagine that, when you make something new, sometimes people might be interested. I mean, Miyazaki, I think, is a great writer, but he just does stupid shit randomly, and this is a prime example. And what pisses me off is that Dark Souls 3 is the end of the trilogy, so we know there's no way this continues. Oh, it's agonizing. They set up this perfect villain, and then he dies, and they don't even... It feels weird. He dies with like no fanfare at all. No one goes crazy like, well, you defeated the great tyrant who literally took over an entire kingdom and was mutating people. Oh well, like that's really what it feels like. It goes, and now fight the twin princes. And now just deal with all the other shit that really matters. Not like this guy that we hyped up. It's like, come on, man. If you don't know the lore of the game, Pontiff feels like a fart in the wind, low-key. He's a cool guy with two big swords. That's it. And they never make it seem like a big deal. He doesn't get a cutscene. He doesn't get a death cutscene. He doesn't have any lines. He doesn't even have any cut lines. He's just a guy you beat up midway through the story and then you fight Aldrich. It's like, how could you do that? How could you? It's like they ran away from a good idea. It's ridiculous. And this is also what pisses me off. They set him up in the DLC too. They go, yes, this mage came by and invented this cold snap or cold weapon. One of the spells in the game, they go, and he made it. And then they hype him up in the profaned area where Yorm is. They go, he found the flame and that's where his greed took hold. He has so many cross-related things in the world that it only makes sense for him to be the ending, and you chose Soul Cinder. It's really just imagining what could have been, you know? Because the Pussa Man, they're really cool. Udex Gundyr, when he has the big fucking pus dark monster come out of him, that's really cool. I think that's a really cool concept. Like, you can't even really make out what it is. It's like a dark blob thing with red eyes and weird long limbs. I think that's great. And knowing that the final area was originally supposed to be like this eclipse field where it's full of those dark monsters, and that's originally where the ulcerated tree spirit was meant to be, because he was meant to be a shadow monster in Dark Souls 3 first. It's such a waste. Like, imagine if you start the game, you fight Udex Gundyr, and you fight the Pussa Man thing that comes out of him, and then you get to the end of the game and you're just seeing those monsters everywhere. It would have been an amazing progression to show how far you got, that A, you can fight these things, and B, it was foreshadowing. But no! Soul of Cinder, Lorien and Lothric. I'm like, bro, Lorien and Lothric, I like their fight. I think they're cool. The problem is they would have slotted into the original story anyway because Pontiff set it into motion. So literally, the only fight we probably would have lost is Soul of Cinder. Could you imagine you fight Pontiff halfway through the game where he is, and then he comes back later and he has his throne and he's got the crown on, he's the king of the eclipse, he takes the flame, you're fighting his ghost guys, and then you eventually reach him, and I've been told, I'm not 1000% sure anymore, it's been a while since I dove deep into the discourse, but I remember people saying that General Ishin's moveset with the big ass spear, not the gun part, was originally supposed to be Pontiff's moveset, and that would have been amazing, but we leaned on the safest possible option for nostalgia. It's like, come on, guys. How do you, like, it's so, Even Gale could still happen, since most of his stuff isn't really tied to that. You could even slot in Soul of Cinder before this fight, by the way, because you could have Pontiff come in and take the flame, and then the final act starts. Like, Soul of Cinder could have been the pre-final boss. He still could have been in the game. And you could have it be like, you know, because he turns into Gwen. Like, Soul of Cinder turns into Gwen's moveset. So you could go, this is like the final boss of the first game. And then it goes to Pontiff in his area. And it's like, but here's the final boss of our new game. It's so free. It's so free. And as someone who likes to write and someone who likes to analyze stories, that's really what bothers me. You had a slam dunk. The entire court was set. There were no other players on the field. And then you tripped and your shoelaces got caught around your neck and you died. And the fact that Pontiff's theme, if you look it up, his cut theme was meant to be the main theme of the game. Dark Souls 3 has like the best main theme that they made. Oh, and it would have come full circle and it would have been beautiful. Oh, and the symbol in the game is the dark sign. So instead of it literally just being because you can see Soul of Cinder looking at it, it would be tied to the character who took the flame for himself. Ooh, It's ignoring literally all of the gameplay problems I have with Dark Souls 3. It could have been such a satisfying ending. But no. And then they added more questions anyway, which is what makes it even worse. Hey guys, here's this new OC that I made named Philinor. Now she's gonna wake up and the world's gonna end, and I'm never gonna explain to you what this character does. All we know is Gwyn gave her to them as a gift. That's really all you get, buddy. That's really all you get. You introduce a character at the literal final part of the game, and then she dies. I'm not even trying to say that everything in Dark Souls 3's lore is bad. I'm not gonna say that. But they could have had a cherry on top, and they just didn't do that. They said, let's just have it be plain. I don't know how other people feel about this topic, but it bothers me so much. For all the reasons that I've discussed, it bothers me so bad. Because I know if they went that route, I don't doubt that Miyazaki would have have knocked that plot line out of the park. I don't doubt that. But they cut it, and we're never gonna come back to this. I guess that's been my rant. It's really just the biggest snubbing of character potential I've ever seen in any writing form ever. Like, it's it's so bad. I don't even think that's like me being hyperbolic or whatever. I genuinely think that was the worst writing snuff ever. Out of anything that I've read, I genuinely think that was the worst writer snuff. At the very end of the thing, where they didn't need to write anything else. They could have just kept going. They had the music. They already had some of the moveset coded out, I'm pretty sure. You already had some of the enemies plotted out. And you said, no. Like, are you... Anyways, as long as you're respectful, I'm glad to discuss about this. I would love to discuss about this. So, with that, I've been M, and I am out.